Hey everyone, and welcome to the John Louis Memory School. Today, we are going to take one of the biggest nightmares for students, chemistry, and turn it into something you literally can't forget. You ready? Let's do this. Okay, be honest with me. Have you ever just stared at a long list of ions and their valencies until your brain just kind of melts? Yeah, we've all been there. And look, valency is just a fancy science word for an ion's combining power. But don't even worry about that right now. Today, the only number we care about is 1. See, trying to memorize these things feels impossible, right? It's just a random list of words and numbers. Or is it? And you know what the typical advice is, right? Just read it over and over again. Ugh. Well, I'm here to tell you that rote learning is, well, it's the worst. It's boring, it's slow, and honestly, it's just a terrible way to get anything to stick in your brain. So today, rote learning is the villain of our story. So yeah, we are throwing that whole method right out the window. Instead, we're going to use a system that turns all these boring names into a bizarre, hilarious, and totally unforgettable movie inside your head. We are going to make this ridiculously fun. I promise. All right, here is our one golden rule. This is the anchor for everything we're about to do. From now on, whenever you hear valency of 1, I want you to picture a king in his palace. Think about it. Number 1 rules, right? So the king rules. Simple as that. King equals 1. Got it? And our secret system? It's super simple. Just 3 little steps. First, we see the name of the ion. Second, we find a silly word that sounds like it. And third, this is the fun part, we just smash that silly image right into the middle of our king's story. That's the whole thing. Okay, get ready, because the palace doors are creaking open. We are about to witness the single most chaotic day in the history of this kingdom. This is not a boring list of ions anymore, people. This is an epic tale unfolding right now inside the king's palace. So, our story starts with the king. But wait, he's not on his throne. He's hiding. Picture him peeking out from behind a big, heavy curtain. Why is he hiding? Who knows? But that one action, hiding, gives us our first ion, hydroxide. The king is hiding. Now, while he's hiding, things start to go wrong. He suddenly feels incredibly hot. Like his forehead is just burning up. The poor guy has a raging fever. Can you just feel the heat? Him sweating behind that curtain? Fever. Gives us fluoride. And of course, it gets weirder. At the exact same time he's burning up, he starts shivering like crazy. He is freezing cold. Can you hear his teeth shattering, that sound of being cold? That's our cue for chloride. So first a fever, and now he's cold. What is going on? Okay, so just as he's shivering and shaking, a palace maid comes in to sweep, and she doesn't see him. She starts whacking him with a giant broom. Can you just picture it? The bristles of the broom hitting the king's fancy robes. Broom, that's for brummi. At this point, the king has had it. I mean, he's hiding, he's sick, he's being beaten with a broom. It is all just too much. So in a moment of pure drama, he pulls out a tiny capsule. He's gonna end it all. He's taking cyanide. Well, that one's easy enough, right? Cyanide is for cyanide. Oh, the drama. But wait. Just as he brings that capsule up to his mouth, some clumsy servant runs past, trips, and accidentally pokes the king right in the eye. "Ah, my eye!" he yells and drops the capsule. Phew, that was close. I for iodide. So now he's totally confused, his eye is throbbing, and he stumbles out from behind the curtain. He starts shouting this really weird order at everyone. Keep the light on all night. A nightlight? You hear it? Sounds just like nitrite. What a strange thing to demand. But why? Why does he want the lights on? He explains, totally frantic. Because at night, the palace is overrun with rats. Just imagine it. A plague of huge night rats scurrying around. And that crazy image, night rats, gives us our next ion, nitrate. You'd think things couldn't get any weirder, right? Wrong. Hearing all this shouting and chaos, a group of nobles decides, you know what? This is the perfect time for a bike car race. And they start it right there, in the main hall. Picture it, bicycles and little pedal cars just zooming around the fancy furniture. A bike car race for bicarbonate. But get this, the crowd watching the race, they're not even cheering. In this super bizarre twist, they all make a mad dash for a vendor cart and start frantically trying to buy surf detergent. Like, The laundry powder. Why? We have no idea. But that action, bisurf, sounds an awful lot like bisulfate. Well, you know what happens next. They run out of surf detergent, and this sparks a massive, sudsy bisurf fight. People are literally wrestling over the last boxes, and there's detergent powder flying everywhere. A bisurf fight? That gives us bisulfite. So how does this absolute chaos finally end? Well, a chef calmly walks into the middle of the fight. He's holding a huge tray of this delicious-smelling potato and mint dish. In Hindi, you'd call that holu mint. And just like that, everyone stops fighting and starts eating. Aloo mint gives us aluminate. And believe it or not, that's the end of our wild story. Okay, wow. You just played the craziest movie inside your head. But the big question is, did it actually work? Let's find out right now. It's time for a rapid-fire recall. I'll give you a clue from the king's palace, and you tell me the ion. You ready for this?
First question. Go back to that scene. The king is hiding, he's shivering, and then what happens with that giant broom? What was the action?
That's it. He gets swept with the broom, and broom is for bromide. Yeah, see, it's in there. Your brain didn't just memorize a word, it experienced a story.
All right, let's do another one. The palace is pure chaos. Rats are scurrying everywhere, and then what absolutely ridiculous event kicks off in the main hall?
The bike car race. Of course it was, which gives us bicarbonate. Isn't that amazing? Your brain made all those connections without you even having to try.
See? It works. This technique is powerful. Now, the really important step is for you to take this idea and start creating your own crazy stories. Because here's the secret, the core idea. Your brain doesn't remember boring stuff. It's not designed for that. It's designed to remember stories, especially weird and emotional ones. It actively rejects boring lists. So let's stop feeding it boring lists and start telling it amazing stories instead. And of course, we have to give a huge thank you to the man who created this entire system, Memory Grandmaster John Louis. He's like the director of this awesome mental movie we just watched, and we're so grateful he shared these incredible techniques. All right, I want to leave you with a little challenge. In our next explainer, the code for Valency-2 is a duck. Yep, a duck. So what's a funny story you could come up with for the ion sulfide that involves a duck? Maybe the duck is trying to surf on a super wide board? Sulfide? Surf wide? I don't know. Share your best, funniest, most ridiculous idea in the comments. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time at the John Lewis Memory School.